this is the third consecutive year we organize Sustainability Roundtable at the Beautyworld event, and the objective is clear. We want to have a positive impact in the fragrance and cosmetic industry. And how? By triggering collaboration and sharing best business practices. The discussion of today is crucial. We are welcoming a panel of experts from two key regions of perfume lovers with an extremely rich olfactory cultural heritage, the GCC countries and Grasse in the south of France. And what's interesting is that none of these two regions want to compromise on the scent and on its quality. So let us see today what happens when GCC meets with Grasse expertise. We're going to talk about very hot topics such as sustainable sourcing, manufacturing process improvements, and knowledge transfer. We had the chance to discuss separately with each one of our guest speakers today. So basically, we're going to share with you the best insights of our conversation. And we're going to try to make it as exciting and inspiring as possible. And just to kick off, I'm turning directly to Claire, because we want to know everything about Grasse expertise. Can you tell us a bit more about the association? How does it work? What's the impact in matter of sustainability? What ecosystem did you create in Grasse in the south of France?
Yeah, so I'm proud here to represent Grasse expertise with all my colleagues here in the different stands. As you can see, we are a professional level in order to improve and promote the know-how of Grasse from the production of the plants, transformation, finished product, education. So we work really closely in 4 main activities that you can see here: perfumery, cosmetic, flavor, and health and well-being. So we have 3 main commitments: improve the savoir-faire, as I told you, be based in the Pays de Grasse, and also improve the safeguard of the productor, plant productor. So here you can see among our 85 members, some of our company, we work closely with different business stakeholders, universities, and among the 7 key fundamentals, as I told you, which are really improving the ecosystem of a small territory like Grasse, where you can find everything. And it shows that it was for us a use, and we really thank Valerie to invite us today to share the fact that Grasse expertise is, in a way, a perfect illustration of sustainability. If we go back to the definition of sustainability, it's acting today, thinking of the future generation. And all of us here, we are here to safeguard our richness, our local and cultural heritage, as we have also with our partners in the Middle East. So it's very recent because it was created just 5 years ago. And as we said yesterday with Carole, it could have been very unpredictable 20 years ago to see among the same table the different partners thinking of how to work closely and collaborate closely together in order to save all our know-how. So now I just wanted to thank you again, Valerie, for
Claire, it's a pleasure having you with us today. And then when we met last year talking about sustainability, we thought that we had to do something together and then create this synergistic collaboration between Grasse and then GCC countries, because these 2 regions love fragrances. And this is something that deeply rooted in the culture, in the heritage, and then there is some best business practices that we can share. So then we are more effective together and we have a greater impact. And on the collaborative ecosystem, now I'm turning to Carole, because if I'm not mistaken, you created an other association that you're going to tell us everything about, that is called les Fleurs d'Exception du Pays de Grasse. And who is it targeting exactly, and what's your impact?
The association, l'association Fleurs d'Exception du Pays de Grasse, is an association before to make the promotion of these exceptional flowers and to support, to manage a new generation of producers. To join our association, you need to be organic production, sustainable, sharing the know-how, learning, and with the old generation for the new generation. And the association Fleurs d'Exception make many projects. And I would like that you remember one word, because the best word for the association is together. Group project, research, development for the new generation. The association Fleurs d'Exception du Pays de Grasse, sustainable and organic.
Carole, it's very interesting. During our different conversation, you told us also about a link with UNESCO, with the recognition, Aromatic Fab Lab. Can you tell us more about it?
In fact, for the association Fleurs d'Exception du Pays de Grasse, we have a site of the research and the development and sharing and learning the know-how. The name is Aromatic Fab Lab. And from Grasse Expertise, and members of Grasse Expertise support us for Aromatic Fab Lab and many group projects. And in fact, we design 16 years ago, 18 years ago, a new relationship from the flowers until the perfume, and a relationship to share, to make many projects between flowers until perfume.
Thank you, Carole, for your words about sustainability. And now I'm turning to Julien, with whom you directly work in order to, and you deliver your flowers, rose, jasmine, and tuberose. Julien, how sustainability can be linked in your organization?
Sustainability is key, and it's present at every level of our organization. Robertet is the world leader in natural ingredients. We are fully vertically integrated from the source to the scent, from seed to scent, because we truly believe that's the only way to work and guarantee the traceability, the transparency, and the sustainability of our product, of our fragrances. What Carole doesn't say is that she's probably one of the best producers of rose, jasmine, tuberose, which are iconic products from Grasse. So it's important to notice and to say it's not only the association, it's also the product that she grew every year. We have been working together for 15 years now. And I mean, sustainability is also, I think, a long-term commitment. You cannot work sustainably without having this long-term relationship, this long-term commitment with the supplier and with the customer. So just to give you an example, so during the month of May, Carole will harvest the Rose Centifolia. She will bring the flower to the factory in Grasse, our headquarters, and we'll try to process them as fresh as possible to maximize the olfactive power of those flowers. Then at Robertet, and thanks to our heritage, we have a very diversified portfolio of extraction that we master. Some are very traditional, like steam distillation, solvent extraction. We even remaster enfleurage, And at the same time, we have very innovative processes like CO2 extraction, like green solvent that we have patented recently with a product gam called Clean Air Scent. But that's just a small part. Those are the iconic products from Grasse. To give you an idea of how complex is the supply chain of natural product for the fragrance, at Robertet, we source more than 1,300 ingredients coming from 60 different countries. So it's a tremendous amount of work. And our goal is to diversify as much as possible the sourcing to minimize the risk. We have a strong exposure to risk, whether it's political, economical, environmental, social risk, and we need to diversify as much as we can the portfolio of product, the source of those products, and we put in place different setup through a network of partner, through joint venture, and through affiliates. We also invest a lot in research in agronomy because we need to take care of what will happen. We need to work on the resistancy of the plant. We know that the climate change will affect the culture of our botanicals. It will be probably less water, higher temperatures. So we need to make sure that in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, we'll still be able to grow rose, jasmine in Grasse, or sandalwood in New Caledonia, or tonka beans in Venezuela. So we need to do all this research. And something that we are very in line with Carole and les Fleurs d'Exception du Pays de Grasse is that we also invest a lot in organic because we truly believe that what is the rule today for organic will be the rule for tomorrow for conventional product. And I think it's in our mission to also promote cleaner and safer ingredients to our customer, but also in our fragrance for the end consumer.
Yeah, and these are the last challenges, sustainable challenges you have to face. You have other words or examples to illustrate how are the next challenges. You spoke about climate change, but also maybe...
we have many challenges regarding sustainability, but it's true that the last 5 to 10 years, there have been more and more, and our customers are more and more demanding. What has changed is that, I mean, when you work with natural product, you have to work sustainability. It's not a choice, it's a must. And at Robertet, we have been working with natural product for 173 years. So we didn't change the way we were sourcing, producing ingredients. What has changed is everything that is around it. So all the formalization that you are around CSR, reporting, data collection, is basically proving that what you say is what you really do.
Yeah,
and that's what has changed. And that's where you have a lot of work. So it's just the formalization around it. And it's true that we are under pressure, especially in Europe and in the USA, to certify more and more products that are sustainably certified.
Thank you, Julien.
Now we started discussing about sustainable sourcing in the Grasse region. And then we talked as well about the collaborative ecosystem that we created there. It's time to deep dive into GCC countries. So I'm turning to you, Ali, especially on perfumery, cultural heritage. Could you, first I'd like to thank you for being here today and for all your precious time for the preparation.
Pleasure is mine.
My pleasure too, our pleasure as well.
Thank you.
Would you mind sharing with us some precious insight from the GCC countries?
Sure.
And tell us why is the region so distinct from the rest of the world?
For me to be able to paint an honest picture of the history of perfumery in the Middle East, I have to bore you with a little bit of history. Perfumery has been around for thousands of years, literally. And, you know, the Silk Route goes back to at least 2,000 years ago. And it was the route that connected west to east. And for millennia, the point of convergence of East and West has always been the Middle East. Whereas they would bring spices, foods, silks, and most importantly for our industry, essential oils, natural products, fragrances. In that route, by the time things or items reached Europe, they were extremely expensive. The access to perfumes and fragrances were limited to a very small portion of the population. Whereas if you looked into the Middle East, it intertwined, it became a part of our lives, a part of our religious ceremonies, a part of our hostings, a part of our daily lives. I mean, if anything, this proves you walk around with perfume, and we still use essential oils purely in all their forms, whether they be alcoholic solutions, whether they be oils, whether they be water solubles, and in that, since the early 20th century, at least. I can't speak for before that, but I can speak from 1910 and onwards. The point of convergence of East and West was the Kingdom of Bahrain. And it was so for around 60 to 70 years. And it was at that point in 1910 where my great-grandfather decided to take the best of what the East has to offer with the best of what the West has to offer and produce a product maintaining and preserving the likeness of what the true Middle Eastern prefers as a fragrance, whether that may be the pureness and the strength of oud, its animalic nature and how it grows onto you over time, the sharpness of rose, its softness from all over the world, not necessarily Taif or India, but we would have people coming in from all over the world into the Gulf, into Bahrain, bringing in rose from south of France, from Morocco, from Bulgaria, from northern India, from Lebanon even as well. And it includes all the other products that we would have the access of working with, which includes the hennas, the ambars, the shamamas, the spices, the sandalwoods, all these natural ingredients. And what we did was, over the past 100 years, decade after decade, we learned and we understood the different kinds of distillation processes, extraction processes. You have steam distillation, you have water distillation, you have carbon extraction, you have different kinds of methods, and each method gives you or produces a certain characteristic of any raw material. And in all this time, we've learned how to mold that to the likeness of what the GCC citizen prefers. And at the same time, producing and maintaining what the status quo wants, meaning we can't deny that, in the 90s or in the early 2000s, globalization came and the Western technology and Western fragrances exploded in the GCC. And they were extremely successful, making legends, and nobody can deny that. But perfumery is fashion. Fashion comes back. History repeats itself, and if anything, perfumery is the art of memory. And if you can remember those items at their peak and what they used to look like, what people preferred 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, back 100 years. Take the simple example of oud. The older oud gets, the better it is. So, access to these raw materials are key to producing successful products and producing long-term relationships with your customers, which is what we actually really try to go for. Which brings me to today. We have seen a surge of niche fragrances coming out in the past 6 to 7 years. And the industry poses, and with all respect to all my colleagues in the niche businesses, it poses as a new form of perfumery coming from the West back to the East, to the Middle East. But if you ask the older players in this market, It is only a reinterpretation of what we used to produce 60, 70 years ago. Niche is the heart of essential oils. It's oils and perfumes brought in its heart and in its best form. And that is what we were born into. That's what we've been doing for the past 100 years. And I feel it presents a beautiful and a great opportunity for if the West and East were to combine and come together on policies and standards without jeopardizing the historical significance and the importance of what makes perfume so important to us. That is paramount to building bridges back from east to west and reigniting the Silk Route, which would bring about a new golden age of perfumery coming out from the Middle East to the rest of the world.
Ali, that was so precious.
Thank you so much.
Very insightful and true. Totally true. Ali and I, we met in Bahrain back at the time. I used to live in the Kingdom of Bahrain.
Yes.
And I was amazed by the souk, by the expertise in matter of fragrances. And that was the center, that was the heart. And raw materials are at hearts. And this is something that we remember from the beginning of our conversation, from Julien, from Carole, from Ali, is that we really care about ingredients and no one want to compromise on the scent and the quality of the ingredients, whether we're based in the GCC, whether we're based in Grasse. And there is another point that rose from this conversation that you highlighted towards the end. It's that the willingness to comply with regulation that fits and respect the cultural heritage of our region. So then we don't jeopardize what we love. And that brings back very good memories. So then we'll have a lot of examples where we can be more creative and then use science and research and development towards this direction. But really what's important is quality of the scent ingredients and then a regulation that complies with the region. Now I'm turning to Claire on circularity.
Yeah, circularity. Now, Emma, Xavier, we are discussing and building this discussion with you about your expertise in circularity. And now, Xavier, regarding your sustainability for PCW, what were the last challenges and how you improve sustainability within your organization?
Thank you very much for that question. It's a long answer, but I'll try to keep it as short as possible. Ali, Julien, Carole, you mentioned that we are already experts in the perfume making, and we have been for centuries already. So I feel like we know how to make perfume, and we have to step back on what we know how to do and take it as a bigger picture. For example, at PCW, we're involved in ingredient sourcing, in perfume making, and in manufacturing a finished product. So as a newer generation, I've been trying to introduce more eco-responsibility products inside of our way of producing or importing. For ingredients, what it means is instead of buying high carbon impact ingredients from Asia, I try to look more at local companies that have high value ingredients that are capable of producing safer ingredients. And these can be found in France, Italy, Spain. And we have very high value ingredients that I want to push forward. Yes, some of them are more expensive, but it's more of the ethical behind it, the thinking. When it comes to perfume and compounding, what we can do is we can introduce more naturality, but a different kind of naturality. The ingredients that we can find today are beautiful, and they can be combined with a newer naturality that for me corresponds to the natural isolates. And these are ingredients that come from the natural, and these are molecules, and we can actually adapt them to make safer products And thanks to a green chemistry process, they can be optimized to minimize the consumption. And for the manufacturing part of our business, there is something that's very hard to grasp, which is the recycled part of the product that we can introduce in our bottles or our caps, going to bakelite cap instead of the Zamac. But the market isn't really ready for it yet. There's a high value perception attached to the product, and we cannot decrease the value of it, because meaning that introducing eco-responsibility inside the product would mean decreasing the value perceived of the product. So for me, the market is not really there yet. There's a lot of initiatives, and it's something that we keep on hearing again and again, but the market is not ready for it yet. It's our job to really make it luxury again, so that the people will accept these kinds of products inside of their products on their shelves. What we don't talk about, and that there's no added value for the client, is what we do with our wastes, is everything that is around. And this is actually a big part of our industry. I realized that while talking with Valerie on the questions, and indeed in the Grasse area, there's a lot of initiatives to optimize our waste. For example, all of the drums, the soil drums, to better recycle them, because these cannot go to waste as is. They need to be treated by specialists. And there's the water. There's a lot of restrictions in Grasse on the water. We don't have so much. We have to make the most out of it. And especially, we cannot put our products directly inside of the city water. This would go directly in the sea, and this is not possible for us. So there's a lot of actions being made in Grasse on everything around it, that when I talk with my grandmother that was in Perfume also, they didn't think about it at all. They would spill the drum in the street, and this would go directly in the waters. This is not possible. We have to be more responsible today, and this is really what Grasse Expertise or other initiatives, other associations in Grasse are trying to set up. There's a lot of outside of the box thinking, where we go deeper inside of how do we produce, and really bring a reflection all together, because I don't see other perfumers in Grasse as competitors. I see that we can all get better together acting on these actions.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to keep talking about circularity with a super interesting point on packaging, recycling, and plastic. So Emma, I'm turning to you right now. Can you tell us a bit more about Dgrade? What is this about? What role do you play in sustainability? And what does your collaborative ecosystem look like?
Of course. I'm often the most contentious person on any panel, because I am here to tell you that plastic is very good packaging solution. And most people don't really like to hear that. And going back to what Xavier was just saying about perception of quality, and listening to what the consumer thinks they want. These are difficult challenges, extremely difficult. So what we do here in Dubai is we actually recycle food packaging, predominantly plastic bottles, and we turn it into flake, which we then supply to the packaging manufacturers, so the people that are actually making the plastic packaging. And we're working with some beauty houses, but it's mostly really in regards to beauty product rather than perfume, because you don't really find perfume coming in a plastic bottle. It's just not done. Although I really think it should be. I don't know if everybody knows, but glass contains silica sand, which is a finite resource, which we're running out of. So we do need to find a better way than using a finite resource by just constantly making glass, which is just thrown away. So really, we're very much trying to work with companies who have a need for packaging and try and discuss with them ways which we can make it much more sustainable.
If I'm not mistaken, you're also in partnership with many events, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we work with companies where they have plastic, not so much in bottles, but it's not in glass bottles, but we will work with events, and we've worked with World Trade Center to collect the plastic to make sure that it's being picked up. Because the other part of what we do is we make textiles from the recycled polyester. My T-shirt is made from 100% plastic bottles. And this also keeps plastic out of the environment. So I'm telling you plastic is great, but I'm not telling you that we need to use more of everything, more plastic, more of anything. What we need to do is make sure that we're recycling and keeping that plastic in the circular economy. So yeah, at events, we will pick up plastic, turn it into product. So for example, Yas Marina, the Formula One's coming up. We have a very strong association with the Yas Marina team, collecting all the plastic from the Formula One. They want to be a green event. And so all of the staff wear uniforms made from recycled polyester, which is what we do.
And there's a key insight as well that you gave me that I was not quite sure about, because we think that only PET can be recycled.
Yeah.
But is that true, or any kind of plastic can actually be recycled, and what for?
Yeah, well, not everybody knows that there are many different kinds of plastic, 7 different kinds. Some of it is easier to recycle than others. So the number one plastic is PET, which is easy to recycle. And HDPE, which is the lid or a milk bottle or a detergent bottle, very, very easy to recycle and should be recycled. Things like PVC are more difficult, but they tend to be pipes used in construction, so they last a very, very long time. Much better than copper, much better than any alternative. So we should be using PVC in construction. Things like styrofoam is being banned actually here in the UAE, which is a good thing because it's very difficult to recycle that packaging you get. That hard packaging is extremely difficult to recycle and terrible for the environment. And then number 7, which is the sort of Tetra Pak, the layered, where you get a layer of plastic, a layer of metal, and a layer of paper that you find juice often comes in. Extremely difficult to recycle that. But PET, HDPE, LDPE, PVC, they can easily be recycled.
Thank you very much for sharing. This is very insightful. And now, when it comes back to the fragrance industry,
yes,
what actually, because you're not collaborating only with fragrance houses.
Yeah.
So what recommendation would you make to fragrance houses and industries in that field to improve sustainable practices?
I mean, there are a number of things that companies can do. First of all, by thinking about using recycled packaging for their product. So if you have a skin cream or some kind of lotion or ointment that can easily be put into plastic, why not make the packaging from recycled plastic? That seems an easy first step. And also, you know, if you have staff, for example, you can see on my slide, we work with Lush and Body Shop. Lush were wrapping their soaps in beautiful recycled polyester, like a silky scarf. Very beautiful, very luxe, very high-end, recycled. And Body Shop, all their teams in stores are wearing recycled T-shirts. So, you know, that's kind of a nice thing for a company like Body Shop who are very aware of their impact, something they can do. But this really goes back, I think, to Javier's point about how the consumer pressure is pushing back. We hate plastic, we love glass, without really understanding just how damaging glass is to make. It's almost impossible to recycle. It's heavy, much, much worse for the carbon footprint than plastic. So we need to really be pushing some of these scientific evidence-based research back to consumers so they're not the tail wagging the dog when it comes to packaging.
Thanks for highlighting us. I'm sure that many of us today learned something new.
Yeah, now the last part, one also, what is really important that we found in our different discussion is education, how to educate the consumer. But before educating the consumer, I need to say also we need to educate professionals and the future generation like we do at 5e Sens or Reciproca together, Valerie. And Xavier, what is your position with this educating your clients also? How can you do?
So I'm a new CEO. I've been CEO for 1 year now. So I've been talking to all of the new clients and prospects that come over to our company. And I must say that it's 80% of my time going over some misconceptions about the market and what is feasible and what is not. As Emma said, it's something that there's a reality behind what everybody wants. Everybody wants glass, but it's not their solution either. So they come saying, I want an eco-responsible product, but I want a glass jar. No, it's not. It doesn't work like that. I do a lot of candles in our factory, and the biggest misconception that I go through on candles is that everybody wants natural wax. And when I talk to them saying, okay, but you want soya wax, it's made in the forest in Brazil, so I have to cut down the forest, put my soya, imported it from Brazil, and then I can make my candle. Or I can use paraffin, which is fine, which is optimized, which is a subproduct from the petroleum, which has better qualities, less CO2 extraction. And no, at the end, they still want the natural wax because it says natural. And that is something that I constantly fight every day. What we like to do is, because I still want to be able to offer a natural product, so I go over some newer certifications like RSPO, where I know that they're going to replant the forest behind. I accept to do this product if I believe in what I'm selling behind. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. There are a lot of things like this that I want to introduce to make these products more eco-responsible. And we could talk about losing the glass with Manon making a refillable candle. So in the idea of make a refillable candle, people come back to me saying, oh, then I want some glass that I put in some glass. I'm like, nah, it doesn't make any sense. And so this is just an example of this conversation I keep on having again and again in the industry. And I think from a manufacturer point of view, we can just do as much. It has to come also from the brands that need on their side to explain, to take hard positions. I don't want this natural wax, and this is why I go on the synthetic wax. And it doesn't need to be a problem. You don't have to go for greenwashing to have a sustainable claim. And this is something I keep on insisting every day, and I'm hoping one day we'll get there.
You know, all these topics are very controversial. So it's nice we organize this roundtable to talk about them and share best business practices and knowledge on the topic. Now, if we may, we're going to jump directly onto accreditation.
Certification. So yes, we are a little lost about certification and the different levels. Julien, what would you recommend at Robertet for producers, plant farmers, and plant producers?
First of all, I think there is two levels of certification of label, if I can say, is that the one that you have on the product for the sourcing part, and then you have the one at the company level that can attest how sustainable you are. I think over the last 5 years for the sourcing part and the ingredient part, for me, there is two organizations that stand out. The first one is UABT, which is Union for Ethical Biotrade. And the second one is EcoCert with their Fair for Life label. For me, they are the ones that have the best understanding on what you need to put in place at source to guarantee the sustainability of your product. Then, at the company level to attest the sustainability, for me, there is one. There is EcoVadis and CDP. But I think the key about those organizations that certified sustainability is they will all look at your long-term commitment. And that is key for sustainability.
Thank you, Julien. And Carole, with our discussion, you also talked about a specific certification. Can you tell us more about it?
In fact, I think it's because we are together that we earn the getting the geographical indication. The geographical indication was very important for the guarantee of traceability between the flowers produced in the area of Grasse until the absolute transfer in the perfume factory in Grasse. And 28 flowers now. For the absolute of these 28 flowers, it's with the geographical indication.
If I may ask, Carole, geographic indication, does it sound a bit like AOC? You know, like this ham is going to come from here, this cheese is going to come from here. Is it the same?
In fact, it's the same, but geographical indication, it's only for industry product.
I understand.
Not for natural raw materials in the field.
So B2B, perfume plant producer.
Yes, with the area of the origin until the absolute with different process. Then it's a guarantee of traceability and the guarantee of the know-how, the expertise of perfume factory. And like Xavier and Julien said before, in fact, the roots of perfumery was the natural raw materials. And if we earn their living, our living is because the nature gives something, the flowers, and we have to take care about the nature, and we have to take care about the ground, the soil. Then sustainability, you have to take care the humans that work in the field, in the factory, and definitively organic and sustainable for human and for nature.
And those who attend in the audience talk and our discussion, you have the chance to smell Rose Centifolia Absolute, IG Absolute, from the rose of Carole's produce and field, transformed by Robertet. So you're really lucky to be here. I'm also turning to Xavier with a more finished product certification. What could you tell us?
So when we were talking about eco-sustainability and how to measure the social and environmental sustainability, it was a very hard question, and I was not sure where to start from. But at the end, I see that I am pushed by my clients to go and get more certifications. I could get the example of bigger groups that will oblige you to get into these certifications where they know that you're doing the things right. For example, EcoVadis. These are some certifications that you need to have to sell your ingredients to bigger groups. And these will force you to ask yourself the right questions and to improve inside of your RSPC internally. There are also the ones that I project then onto my manufacturers of raw materials and finished products. I know that if I work for bigger groups, they're going to ask me to push the traceability to its maximum. And then I have to go and organize some audits for my suppliers, for my manufacturers. This is something they all hate. Having a bigger group auditing them for 3 days, everybody hates that. But at the end, the results you get are really baffling, and you actually understand that some of these questions are meant to be asked, and that we benefit from what our clients are asking our suppliers to do. So we're in the middle, and we're asking the questions, being the professional relay to them, and we actually benefit greatly from that. And I think this is a good way to go, and all of the profession is included.
Thank you, Xavier.
Now, we often use the Beautyworld as a platform to share with our participants the latest news and launches in the industry. And we made great progress in matter of sustainable sourcing. 2 years ago, we talked about agarwood and the great work achieved by Ajmal and Dr. Kanwal Deep. We made some other amazing progresses with collaboration. I mean, Robertet made amazing progresses in Saudi Arabia. So, Julien, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, Robertet has a strong heritage in sourcing natural products and constantly diversified our sourcing with different product, different origin. And I'm really happy to announce that we are partnered with a Saudi company to build a state-of-the-art extraction plant in Taif. to extract the rose over there and be able to produce the best quality of rose taif and make it widely available for the fragrance industry. The rose taif today is an iconic product of the region, has a big religious dimension, but it's not really widely available. So the goal is really to create a factory and be able to distill the best quality of the rose taif and offer it to fragrance. And to be as sustainable as possible, the goal will be to have the factory open all year long, not only to process the rose taif, but to process also the great natural product from the region, like galbanum, juniper berry, there is jasmine, there is orange flowers, frankincense. I mean, there is a lot of natural ingredient in the region, and this factory will become the hub for the region in extracting the best natural product in order to satisfy the local market. We believe and we see that there is a trend, a growing trend on the local market to have more local product in their creation, and that's what we want to achieve.
So in 2 years down the road, we meet here on stage and we'll get the chance to smell both raw materials coming from Grasse and from Saudi Arabia, especially the Taifi rose, right?
Next year.
In 2 years?
Next year, 2024.
Inshallah. Now, last question, quickly, before we wrap up. If you had to make a quick recommendation to the industry for a greater sustainability impact, what would that be? Emma?
Change your packaging.
Ali?
Maintaining and preserving cultural heritage in perfume.
Thank you. Xavier?
Listening to the professionals when they recommend something.
It sounds challenging. Julien?
Less talk, more action, and more long-term commitment.
Carole?
Together, definitively together, sharing and sharing together.
Education, of course, from the consumer to the professionals and the brands.
Sounds amazing. Yeah. Collaboration, education.
And just to finish, we would like to share with you a movie, just because 1,000 words can be not enough than images.
Thank you all for the outstanding participation, for your attendance.
Thank you.